Yavuz Sultan Selim stands as one of those rare rulers whose presence bends the course of history. Even in Western chronicles, often cautious, often reluctant to praise an Eastern sovereign, his name appears with a mixture of awe and uneasy admiration. He was the ruler whose decisions redrew maps, whose armies crossed deserts others feared, and whose willpower alone could silence entire courts. To Western diplomats who met him, Selim was unsettling not because he was unpredictable, but because he was implacably consistent. He spoke little, listened sharply, and when he finally delivered a verdict, it came like a blade, but a blade forged in logic, not fury. Venetian envoys described how a single glance from him could reduce a hall of men to careful breathing. A French observer wrote that Selim had the silence of a scholar, the stride of a conqueror, and the certainty of a man who fears no throne but his own conscience. He was the Sultan who expanded the Ottoman realms by millions of square kilometers in just 8 years, yet what impressed Western minds most was not the scale, but the precision. Every campaign was calculated, every move planned with the cold clarity of a grandmaster. Against the Safavids, he acted like a strategist who understood both the psychology of rulers and the mathematics of war. Against the Mamluks, he crossed the Sinai, a feat Western military leaders considered nearly impossible, turning what they saw as geography's barrier into his empire's new frontier. But Selim's supremacy did not lie only in the sword. He was, to the surprise of many Western travelers, a poet. He wrote verses in flawless Persian, delivering philosophical lines that revealed a mind as sharp as his military genius. One ambassador recounts a moment when Selim, after hearing a boastful remark from a foreign guest, quietly replied, "Victory does not shout, it waits for others to speak of it." The hall fell silent, not out of fear, but out of the realization that the Sultan had defeated arrogance with elegance. His relationship with knowledge fascinated European observers. They expected a warrior king. Instead, they found a ruler who collected books, scholars, astronomers, and physicians with the same hunger he applied to conquest. Cairo's libraries, Damascus's academies, Mecca and Medina's sanctuaries, he gathered their wisdom into the Ottoman sphere. To Renaissance thinkers, this was astonishing. Here was a ruler whose empire grew in land, yes, but grew equally in intellect. In correspondence, a Florentine scholar described him as a sovereign who commands armies by day and commands ideas by night. Selim's charisma was not theatrical. It was the quiet, inevitable gravity of a man who believed leadership meant responsibility, not luxury. He did not attempt to charm Western courts, yet he ended up captivating them. They saw a ruler who was disciplined, relentless, and convinced that power was meaningful only when anchored in purpose. The West did not fear him merely for his armies. It respected him for his mind, his resolve, and his unshakable sense of direction. And perhaps that is why his legacy lingers so vividly. He was the kind of leader who makes chroniclers write with admiration even when they write with caution. A ruler who proved that strength without wisdom is chaos, and wisdom without boldness is wasted. Selim showed the world, East and West alike, that a single human being, when sharpened by discipline, driven by intellect, and anchored by vision, can alter the trajectory of civilizations. His story remains a reminder that greatness is not an accident of birth, but the result of a will so focused that history has no choice but to follow.